There's so many things. I'm going to try not to jump around. I do want to ask about something called Narcan, because we've seen this a lot in television shows. And what happens when somebody has an overdose? What is it, and how's it saving people from when you walk in your room and a parent comes home and has found that their teenager laying there unresponsive and starts screaming hysterically? And we call 911. What's happening when they rush over with Narcan?
Sure. The way Narcan works is, remember we talked earlier about mu receptors, and here's an opiate and it's binding there, whatever it is, fentanyl, heroin. And so if you have enough of these that are bound, and if you recall, we talked about the respiratory drive centers, right? So you get enough of these that are bound, your respiratory drive is gone. The person stopped breathing. They don't even know they're not breathing, and eventually the pulmonary arrest becomes a cardiac arrest. When you throw Narcan in, what it does is, imagine we're in water and here's the opiate and it's in the opiate receptor, and so many of them are there that the respiratory drive centers are saturated with them. You're not sensing that you're not breathing. The Narcan comes in, and because of the intrinsic properties, without getting into details, goes to that receptor where the opiate is, says, hey, get out of here, knocks it out. Goes in there and locks in there. Now the opiate can't swim back and knock that out because of certain intrinsic properties. You get enough of those in a short enough period of time, all of a sudden the respiratory drive center comes back to life, and all of a sudden it goes, uh-oh, I don't have enough oxygen in my lungs, and the person starts breathing. The key is you got to do it quick enough, because eventually a pulmonary arrest turns into a cardiac arrest, right? It's backwards in this situation. So you got to do it quick enough to be able to do that. One other thing I want to point out about that, a couple of important things. Nowadays Narcan, you could get the nasal formula, right? And that's a great thing. It's saving lives. Everybody should have access to it and be trained in Narcan, right? It's very simple training. This is not the same Narcan that I use in the ER or I used to use. It's very easy to use. You just put it in the nose and you could use it. There's some barriers depending on the state you're in. I don't know which state is what, because it still has to be written out as a prescription, but I can tell you it's relatively easy to get in most places, and everyone should be able to get it. Number two, the thing that we need to really point out here is, with the fentanyls and the fentanyl analogs, it appears that we need to increase the amount of Narcan as a first shot thing. Most people think it's because fentanyl binds so tightly to that receptor. Wrong. It appears to have something to do with the fat solubility, and that doesn't matter. What's important to know is that when you're suspecting fentanyls, and that's very often nowadays, people should be aware that you might need to give more than one dose in rapid enough succession, defined by the training that you get. And I think that's important to know.